We know we're in the last session of the day-ish, so we're going to try and keep this as entertaining and lively as possible as we go through this stuff. For those of you who have not had any kind of recognition whatsoever, we are related. We are brothers, and they were dumb enough to hire us at the same school. So I get to work with him about 24/7, and we live about 6 blocks from each other now, so it's been kind of fun that way. So our topic today is, I'm Robert Meier, by the way, and this is Thomas. So one of the things that we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk really about our first year of going Chrome, which was last year. So we just started our second year this year. Some of the highlights we're going to talk about is not so much, we're going to cover from birth to where we are now, and part of that birth process included, I was hired as the Director of Curriculum Technology Integration in spring of 2013. And the school had already decided by their tech team that they were getting Mac Airs at Christmas that following year, in 2013. We actually made the choice, the switch, and the transition to Chromes by January 1st and started them last year, at the beginning of last year. So that's going to be part of this story as well, as how did we make that shift from the mindset that we need to have Mac Airs in the classroom to we're getting Dell's. Chromebook 11s, Dell 11s. So that's really what we're talking about here. And we did it without talking money up front. That was the other piece I want to include. We did this without talking money. Because that would have been the obvious thing to throw at everybody is, $1,000, $200, do the math. That's an easy choice. All that did was get people angry. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about a little bit is how did we do it without focusing on that money?
Some of the things we talked about is we looked at what some of the other districts were doing. A lot of the districts bordering Osage had the MacBooks, whether the MacBook Pros, the old clamshell, regular MacBooks, or the MacBook Airs, and we started asking for some information about their Casper readings. And at that time, from the schools that we talked to, a lot of them gave us Casper information from their reporting about what apps were used the most on their student devices. And over a couple-week period, the main thing the top 3 things that students were using on their MacBook of one sort or another was Safari, Chrome, and iTunes. And so we started discussing about why we needed to spend an extra $500 to do things that a Chromebook can do. It can do web pages like Safari. It can do web pages like Chrome. And there's Pandora, there's Spotify, there's all sorts of other places that they can put their music on a Chromebook and play the music that they want to do. So we started looking at that statistics to say, okay, most of the people are already using web-based products. Why put ourselves at a cost differential like that for being able to occasionally do, and the thing that always came back to us was iMovie. We got to have iMovie. We're going to be doing all these iMovies. We found alternatives. You get the YouTube video editor. We worked with WeVideo, and we still had 2 13-inch MacBook Air carts, and we still do, to do iMovie when they need it. And right now they sit in the media center. They occasionally get those MacBook Airs occasionally checked out, onesie, twosies at a time, but hardly ever does the whole lab go out, all 30 of them, we've got 2 of them, so we've got 60 MacBook Airs sitting there, not being used much, because they thought they were going to use iMovie, and we didn't. So that was the big thing that kept coming back, is that we got to have iMovie, and we kept finding alternatives of things that we can do to do the same things. Most of the time, where we were at technology-wise with our students and our staff was we were not ready at this point in our traveling down this technology road of everybody doing iMovies on a regular basis. Were they going to do some video editing? Sure. But basic video editing is still basic video editing, and you can do that on other things other than just iMovie. Like the YouTube video editor has come a long way from that school year 2012-2013 till the beginning of last year. The YouTube video editor has come a long way, and even from then till now, they've added a whole host of other features that you can do with the YouTube video editor. So those are some of the discussions that we talked about along the way to get this decision and to convince people that Chromebooks can do 95 to 99% of the things that we want to do on a regular basis in the classroom all the time.
Now that's where we started. A lot of this conversation was done at an administrative level, and I'll be honest about that. We started at that point right there when we started looking at, well, how do we now talk to staff who have sat in committees for a year and have decided that the Mac Air is the best device for us? How do we start talking to them and getting them to think that the Chromebook is a okay alternative to what we're doing? And that's where, and in talking with a lot of people in our area up north, that's the thing we're hearing is people are coming back, well, we've had the Mac Airs, how do you expect us to go down to this, and this can't do everything the Mac can do, and this can't do everything the Windows can do. And our argument was, let's not talk money now. Let's not talk money at all. We don't want to have anything to do with that, because again, all you're going to do is get people angry when you say, well, we got to do it to save money. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear what they think they can do. So we started focusing on infrastructure of the laptops. So let's take a look at what's one of the requirements. We asked the tech committee and the staff, what do you have to have in a computer? And they come back with, well, we want something that has at least an 11-inch monitor. We want something that has a full keyboard. We want something that has a headphone jack. We want something, and we started talking about that physical appearance. Now, out of all these components, has anything I've ever said rule out a Chromebook, a Surface Pro, or a Mac Air yet? Not a one. They all have headphone jacks. They all have full keyboards. They all have about 11-inch monitor. They all have a Intel chip inside. That was another thing that they wanted, was the Intel chips. And so we went through all these tech pieces about physical requirements, and the Chromebook stacked up perfectly with the Mac and the Surface, which were the two things we were looking at the time. So then we started talking about, okay, so what do you expect these things to do? Well, it has to do iMovie. Well, okay, so it needs to be able to do movie editing. Well, yeah, okay. We need to be able to do, and we listed homework, documents, PowerPoints, this, that. We just listed everything that we expect kids to be able to do with a laptop. Put them in a list. Then we thought, well, let's go Iowa Core, let's grab those 21st century skills and grab those, and let's slap those right on top of that list. And so we put those into a list. And then we sat down with each one of those devices and we said, will this device do this? Check, 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 check. And it was amazing to find out that all three devices would do everything that the other three would do. And so as we're leading our staff through this a little bit, we're getting to a point where we can see now that it didn't matter what device we were doing, because where we were at technology in our school, we didn't need anything more than a Chromebook. And I'm going to say that in their tone, because I threw my Mac away. It's sitting on a shelf now. I don't use the stupid thing. It's too slow, it's cumbersome, and it doesn't work as fast as I want it to. It drives me crazy. I use the same computer the students do, and I do everything in my job with it. Love the thing. So that's where we went on this whole process, is we started really focusing on those pieces. And then, of course, the last piece was when you start tossing money in, we're going to do a refresh. We bought, how many machines did we buy? 650? 700? We bought 800 for about the first year's rental of a Mac system. We didn't spend anything this year. And next year we'll start our refresh program where we'll buy a full brand new computer for all 6th graders and all 10th graders. Every year, all 6th and 10th graders get new machines. And it's going to cost us $42,000 a year right now. And that's going to be our refresh, and we'll have those machines will have to be good for 3 years. And then we get rid of them, get new ones back in. That's our goal with the Chrome, and that was kind of the icing on the cake. And really what really made that icing on the cake nice is when we started talking to parents about it. And they're hearing this argument between, us and the different devices. We got to a point where we just started talking to parents. We said, well, this one's going to cost us $200, that one's going to cost us $800. What would you like to do? And they started calling in, and that took care of the problem. So we were able to get the Chromes. And here's our story. I mean, this is where we're at. We're going to talk a little bit about how things went, and you're going to hear about our problems as well as our good things. So,
first thing with Chromebooks, a lot of you have heard and probably know that supposedly need a lot of extra bandwidth. Prior to our one-to-one, we had access points in the hallways for about every 2 classrooms. So about every set of doors in the hallway we had access points, which worked fine for a non-one-to-one situation. There were times where you'd have both of those MacBook Air carts in opposite rooms, and all 60 devices would be trying to hit that access point, and we'd run into a little bit of a problem because it'd just be too many devices for the access points we had. When we knew we were going one-to-one and we knew that we needed to make these Chromebooks work, we needed a rock-solid wireless system. We upgraded, we put an access point in every classroom. Our media center has 2, our cafeterias and common areas have 2 access points in them. We went from like 33 access points prior to this to 64 access points in our buildings. It has made a world of difference. They were the Aruba AP225s. And the controller behind it was the Aruba 7300 controller. I worked with Aircore Wireless on that, and they did a great job of making sure we had the coverage we needed and to make sure that everything was going to be set up and worked the way it needed to. Since we set that up last year, I've had to make very few adjustments to our Wi-Fi. We have a password-protected Wi-Fi for our school devices, for all of our Chromebooks, for all of our staff and staff devices. And then if students bring in their own personal devices, they can get on our guest network, which is, I think, limited at 10 meg right now, and they only get internet traffic. So they can't get to our servers, they can't get to our printers. We don't have to worry about viruses infecting anything too terribly because they're only limited to port 80 traffic or web traffic. So those are some of the things we have with our wireless. And last year we had 160 meg, and we ran typically about 80 of that. 80 to 90 meg was our typical day throughout the year last year. We chose to upgrade to 225 this year just so that we have some headroom in case there's changes in web pages, there's more media being done. I just didn't want to hit a roadblock mid-year and then have to add more bandwidth in the middle of the year. And I plan next year to do the same thing.
What's your enrollment?
We have about...
seat count as of yesterday was 1,024.
K-12.
Just
K-12,
yes.
Yeah, PK-12.
And the Chromebooks are in 4th grade through 12th grade, and we have iPad minis in K3. Just to give a background on that. So we're at 225. I'm looking again to make a minor upgrade for next year, just so that we stay in front of the curve of all the things that are opening. Again, trying to keep costs down, but yet not get caught in a jam where we're peaking out at 80-90% all the time.
Yeah, we want that 300. Well, if that's one thing we can say whenever you're going to do any kind of initiative or upgrade on your laptops or computers, make sure you take care of that wireless network on the inside. Because I can remember telling him maybe 30, 50, couple hundred times that if this wireless system fails, I put my reputation on these Chromebooks working. That system cannot fail in the first 30 days. I don't care what happens, that internet cannot go down. Because it'll look like it's the laptop's fault at that point in time. I think, I don't know how many times I told you that.
It was often.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was like praying to God the thing wouldn't fail. And it didn't. I don't think we had a failure until...
It was mid-October. We had an issue with our firewall. We contacted our firewall company, and they took care of it in pretty short order. And so we had a little bit of a hiccup. I think it was probably mid-October, not too long after iTech last year, I think, that we ran into this issue. And but it was quickly taken care of within 20 minutes of getting a hold of tech support with the firewall company. So we were only out for a little while, and we weren't fully out. Things were just slow.
So we decided that we were going to go with the Dell Chromebook. We looked at the Acer as well, and that was actually our leading computer at the time. We liked that Acer a lot. It was fast, it was clean, it felt good in the hands, it had a nice case to it. And then the Dells rolled out about 3 weeks before we were actually going to make a decision, and so we got our hands on one of these. And probably the primary difference is on the Acer there was 2 hinges. They're about this wide on either side of the deck. On the Dell, it's 1 hinge, and it runs everything but that much of the side of the laptop. And so we thought those hinges would be much more stable if they were all the way across hinge rather than those 2 little points on the side and kids would be grabbing and moving them through. We toyed with the Samsung, but we talked with a couple schools in our area that had used the Samsungs and were really disappointed in their performance. So we didn't want to go through any of that and deal with those. So We got the Chromebook does have that Intel processor that everybody asked for. We had the 4 gig of RAM inside, and it does have that solid state hard drive at 16 gig. The 11.6 screen, 2 USBs, the SD card, the HDMI out, and the wireless end. The specs are up there. So we got to play with those a little bit. As I said, we're using the Dell right now for our presentation. I use it for all my daily work. I plug an extra monitor into it. I run 2 monitors all the time. The kids are in and out using it. We have, we found AirParent that allows us to hook into the Apple TVs that were already existing, so that the kids can actually throw their Chromebooks up onto an Apple TV and they can see what's on the screen. We'll talk a little bit more, but we found tons of things. We can bypass about anything you got coming at you. We'll try and figure out a way to get through it so that we can do what needs to be done on this. So
when we got to the point of purchasing, we worked with a company called Sterling Computers, and I think they're out in Sioux City or Sioux Falls, out in that direction anyway. And we worked with a Dell sales representative who then, we actually purchased everything, all of our computers and then our white glove and green delivery treatment directly from Sterling. So it was a single purchase order to do all of that. And what Sterling did is I gave them an admin account to our Google domain. So they unboxed all 800 Chromebooks and enrolled it in our domain, added our network onto it, put it into the bags that we purchased from Bradford, I think, and had those Bradford cases shipped to Sterling. They took those computers, put the computer in the bag, put the power chargers in the pouch of the bag, and then shipped them to us, ready to hand out to students.
What'd that cost us?
I want to say that was about $30 a device to have all of that extra done. So they took care of all the cardboard boxes too.
Yeah.
So we got shipped I think 3 humongous boxes, maybe 4 humongous boxes of what, 200 Chromebooks a box or something like that. They were big boxes with just Chromebook stuff in their cases, in the boxes. We didn't have damage on any one of them, of like broken screens or anything like that in the shipping process. So everything came to us without a hassle. And we got them with 1 year warranty on them. So Sterling took care of everything. They did a great job for us. I was very pleased with what they took care of, and it made it easy. When we got them, we put them into our inventory/cataloging system, and we were ready to hand out to students. So that leads actually into our next slide. Is we used our card catalog library management system, Follett, to barcode each and every computer, and then we inscribed them with an etching pen so that the power supply, the computer, and the bag had all the same numbers on it, so that we knew that all 3 had to match when kids turned them back in. And those were checked out to each student through our library catalog system, so we knew where each and every device went. And so we did that through the month of July. We got all those ready to go, got everything labeled, even put student name tags in the name tag pouch of the bag, and had them sitting on shelves ready to go to hand out to students when we got to that point.
So, here's one that always comes up that everybody keeps talking about, is what do you charge parents or family members or each kid for a device? It's a Chromebook. We've heard schools in our area, they're $100 a computer, they're $150 a computer, it's every year, it's once a year, it's a deposit, it's a refund, it's this, it's that. And so we wrestled with kind of the legalities of what's going on, and basically we came down to this scenario. What's the most expensive piece we're going to have to ever replace on this laptop? Monitor. How much does the screen cost? $50. Done. We'll charge parents $50. Well, then, somebody sat down and said, okay, well, you can't bill parents for this because you've got the free and reduced then that don't have to pay it. You got some that do. Do they take it home? Is it a fee? Is it a bill? Is it a deposit? What is it? So what we came up with is we have a technology repair fund for every student. They put their $50 in. That $50 stay there. If they go from 6th grade to their senior year and they have absolutely no damage on their computer, they get their $50 back. It's simply a deposit so that we can fix the computer with the money. Now, if they break a monitor, we take that $50 that's in their student's account, we pay for a new monitor and then we bill them for another $50 to put back in their account again. So we're using that as simply as a deposit per family per kid. So everybody maintains that $50 balance to be able to take the computer home. It's that simple, and they get it back when they move or when they graduate. And that's how we're bypassing this.
Each year, $50 each
No.
year? $50 when they take it home?
Lifetime payment. Yep. We require that you maintain a $50 balance in your repair fund. That's what we require. So if they pay $50 and don't have any damage, they never pay it again. If they pay $50 and they break it 3 times, they owe me $150 before they get their computer back. So, you know what I mean? They have to keep paying to keep that $50 balance there. I know what the next question is. Go ahead.
Do your 4th, 5th, and 6th graders take them home?
4th and 5th, no. 6th grade, yes.
Was that the question you thought I was going to ask?
It was a question. There was another one. It was one of 2. So we're good. I'm trying to think what the other one now after you asked that. Because you asked about $50 repair
What if it's
fund.
what if it's more than a broken screen? I mean, you said the $50 is basically okay.
Right
but
now-
you're saying $50 is a flat fee no matter what.
Right. No, if it's less than, we go up to 50. If they hit the 50, that's where it stops. We haven't gotten to one yet where we've had the entire machine obliterated by a family that was not under warranty yet. So we haven't gotten to that point. Or under family insurance. We did have one go up in a house fire. But we didn't, look at the family and say, you owe me $200 for this computer, pay up. We're not, we haven't got into that situation where there was negligence involved with the full trashing of the computer. It's simply been, we charge them $50, you maintain that balance in your account, we fix anything that's broken. If you don't have that $50, we give you one of those crummy netbooks. Because we have about 20 of those. Oh, they're what? Those about this big, those Asus?
They're 11-inch.
Oh, they are 11 inch?
Yeah, they're
I don't want
11-inch
11 inch.
Asus or Acer netbooks, and that's what
There
they
you
get
go.
to take to and from class until they get their money paid to get their Chromebook fixed if they don't have anything in their account.
And that's where we're at. So, what we got on time? Double check. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. We did a rollout night. So after parents and families went to registration that first year, they paid their $50 tech repair fund fee. We then had a rollout night. We actually had 2 rollout nights and scheduled families in those, and they contacted us if that didn't work in their schedule and needed to go to the other one. And that was fine. And we had everybody meet together in the high school gym. We had 2 screens put up, and we walked them through about our one-to-one program. There's a link here. If we had time, we could run through that. But basically, we talked about what the one-to-one program is, what the tech repair fund was all about, what the device was, some basic, how do you keep it clean and keep it working in good order, and we also talked about some proper internet usage policy type things as well, and some of the discipline things that could go on with it as well, so that parents were aware of if they're visiting inappropriate sites or doing things that they're not supposed to, just some of those types of things, as well as what happens if a key pops off and those types of things. So we just covered kind of the broad spectrum of what our one-to-one program was all about. Then we sent them to the classrooms where we had 8 to 10 either teachers and or students. Usually we had teachers and a high school student in a classroom where the families dispersed to pick up their Chromebooks. And when they did that, they took it out of the bag, made sure all the numbers matched, turned it on, and logged in for the first time to make sure they knew how to log in and could take care of all of those issues before they got home, and then started to call either Rob or myself about, hey, we couldn't do this or we couldn't do that. We talked about how to add it onto their home network when they got home. Those are some of the things that they talked about in smaller groups in the 8 to 10 classrooms. So we had probably 10 to 15 people or families in a particular classroom to cover that so that they could answer questions.
How are you guys doing at-home filtering, or are you filtering?
Yes, the Chromebooks through our web filter are redirected back through a proxy, redirected back to our filter. So we are filtering at home. After school hours and weekends have a slightly different filtering configuration than during school hours.
It's worked pretty good. They have to sign in. We had some issues up front with that filtering piece at home and at school. It would work at home, but when they went to a hotel, and they had to hit our server to log in but they had to hit the hotel server before they could hit our server. We got into some sort of loops there, but I didn't do anything. He fixed it with a login that happens prior to, so we're okay with that, and everything worked there.
The firewall company actually made some updates to their software that took care of that situation.
Who are you guys using?
It's a company called Smoothwall,
Okay.
and they started out in the UK and have been in the US by 5 to 7 years probably. They're a little bit newer company, but I've been happy with the setup so far.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. We were able to share all the printers, so the students do have access to the printers with the Chromebooks. That's always something everybody asks, well, I can't print. Unless you have a cloud-ready printer. Nah, you can. You just got to set it up right. So it is, students are able to print to one printer in the building that's in the media center. We are actively discouraging any kind of printing whatsoever. I mean, we're in the Google world, people. Share it. You don't need to print it. But 9 times out of 10, it's not our students who are asking for the print. It's our teachers who are asking the students for the print. So we've got some training to go there. We did have some warranty work. I want to say probably the warranty stuff that we had, where we had a bunch of batteries fail, not a bunch, I'm saying 7, 8 batteries fail that had to go in for warranty work, couple sound cards, you know, your typical whatever, and it wasn't that many. I think out of the 800, I think 12, 13 went in for warranty, was all, so that's a bunch. And then we had 36 broken screens total for the year, and that was our damage for the year. So out of 800 machines, you're talking 36 broken screens and 12 warranty issues. So
we've got the same devices. Are you experiencing the
screws?
The screws coming out, and then the other one is just down in the corner where the power cord.
Yeah, it's breaking away. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we are experiencing those too.
Are you guys repairing those, or are you just when it gets bad enough, we'll put a new frame on, or?
When it gets to the point that it doesn't work properly, then we'll fix it.
Yeah.
But as long as it's working for them, then I leave it alone.
Okay.
And assuming they get to the point, if they left the district, we'd probably charge them a small fee. They wouldn't get their full $50 back if they happened to leave the district and they had a broken screen, because I can't issue that to a new student that way. But if it's working for them, I'm not fixing it.
Yeah.
But the only thing I do fix that, even if they say it's okay, is the screen. But if they've got something like a broken piece of plastic, or if they don't need the headphone jack but they're not getting sound all the time, I'm not too worried about that if it's not a problem for their educational purpose. If it's affecting what they can do in the classroom, then we got to fix it.
Yeah.
So I would say our primary problem is, believe it or not, those stupid little screws on the bottom side keep working themselves out. That was the largest problem we face, is having to replace screws on the bottom of the casing. That was number one problem.
Dell warranties those with new screws, though, don't they?
Yeah,
They'll send you a whole big bag of
I talked to Sterling, and they sent me a bag of like 500 screws.
Yeah.
And so last summer, when I was, and we'll get to it here in a minute, of what I did through the summer, I was replacing a lot of screws. Yes.
That was problem number one. Problem number two, and I saw our question, I'm getting there. Problem number two is we didn't take the little silica packets out of the bags that we put the computers in. Those silica bags broke open, and all those little BBs wound up inside the computers somehow. We had some fans broken because they got caught up in fans. You had some jammed into the headphone jacks.
These are 3.4 millimeters.
They fit in a headphone jack perfectly. Yes, they do. And that's what we found, and they're buggered to get back out again. So, okay, what do you got?
When you have the warranty work that has to be done, the students have no fee.
No fee.
For that, because that.
Absolutely. Yep. No fee. Didn't touch their account. I have a letter that I sent home to mom and dad saying, well, we did this work on your child's computer. It is under warranty. There is no charge. I got another one that says, we're billing you for this because of the damage. And I've got the third one that says, you don't have any money in your account, your kid has damage, you have to find a way to do your homework at home. You won't have a computer at school. So, yeah, we run all 3 letters when he lets me know that there's things broken. So.
And the slide is slightly off. I had three more Chromebooks put on my desk yesterday with broken screens, so up to 15 broken screens ready to go for this that I have to repair yet this year.
But we didn't do the parent night this year. And we're wondering if we shouldn't have had the rollout night where we bring the parents in and you go through all that stuff all over again, even though everybody should know it. we've had that conversation that maybe we're just going to have to do it every year, no matter how painful it is for everybody that shows up.
Do you do it just for the 4th grade then, for the newest grade? Getting
Yes, we do
yeah.
it for the newest grade and for any new students to the district,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Did you have?
I think, yeah. Software, Hapara, I don't know how to pronounce that. Anybody know how to pronounce that? I've heard it both ways. Anyway, that is the one that allows our staff to pop up the screens of our students. So this company works with Google. You can see what's on their screen. You can email them. You can shut their tabs down. You can open tabs up. You can lock out any other tab but the tab you want them to go to on your screen. It's a really neat little software that way, especially if you want to give a test. You can mandate anybody in your classroom, their screen opens to your assessment, and then you've got every other tab locked out. They can't go anywhere for that 40 minutes except for the screen that you tell them you can go to, which is really kind of nice. Now, we don't advise that teachers just do that automatically for everything, only for assessments, that kind of thing. But that is the student management system. Right now, we're doing a lot of Google Apps. I want to say in the first month of the one-to-one, what did I say? We had like 12,000 documents created and shared in the first month of school. I mean, it was just amazing. It was like 15 documents per kid. It was a great number to have, and so we've been working on that. We do have Hangouts and Google Plus blocked for all students right now. We also have email only within the domain. So they can't email outside and outside can't email in. Now, we talked on the way down here this morning that maybe we need to open that up for high school students. We're seeing a lot more engagement collaboratively outside the school district now. And so we're going to start talking about opening up the high school email and letting our filters see if they can't catch some of that inappropriate spam that's coming in. That's one of the things we're looking at. Probably one of the other big things that kids are working on that's just kind of blossomed out this year. They're doing a lot of videos using the YouTube video editor. There's been a lot of advances in that. They've done some really good stuff. The Wii video editor is another great one. Our middle school right now is on this big fad with a 3D printer. They want to keep making keychains. And so we found a program called Tinkercad. It's a web-based program that allows you to design like an AutoCAD program. It immediately exports it into an STL file, so you don't even need your computer hooked into the 3D printer. You can just dump it onto a thumb drive, plug it right into the printer, and hit print. And it goes. So there are programs out there that these computers will do. We have a few kids that have to have that AutoCAD to get things done. And we get that with Project Lead the Way, that kind of stuff. So what we've looked at is we're doing a remote desktop. And we're letting them log into a couple of the window machines that are in the Project Lead the Way so that they can still do their homework from home. And I think I jumped ahead again, didn't I?
That's all right.
Oh, I did jump ahead again.
Yeah.
So moving forward.
As I said, we're doing remote desktop. I've got, I don't think I have all 18 set up, but I have a few of those computers set up for remote desktop through our firewall so that those kids that need to can log in, do their Autodesk software for Project Lead the Way. And our digital photography comes down to the same lab for doing Photoshop when they're working on Photoshop. We've got a great art instructor who's willing to play around with the different apps that work with the Chromebook that are video or that are image editors. And so he's starting to work with those two and then talk about the differences between Photoshop and what this one does and how it looks and how it works, the speed of it, and to help them determine whether they really need Photoshop or if most of the time they could use one of these alternatives. So that's one of the things that we've been working on. We just transitioned to a new teacher in our business department, and we're working with him on some transitions that he does in his computer office class, which has been in the past been exclusively off Microsoft Office, and we're starting to talk